sorry, you're on. I see Commissioner Eastridge is on.
Awesome.
We have our stones.
Wow.
Thank you,
Lots
Tim.
Lots of lots.
All right, should we begin with the Pledge of Allegiance?
Absolutely.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And let's just do a quick roll call. Starting to my left,
John Greedena present.
Fred Cuthbertson present,
Tora Nielsen present.
David Mills present.
and Tim Eastridge present.
Present.
There he is. Thank you, Tim. All right. There's nobody here for public comment,
Apparently not.
so
I did not, it missed the agenda, but I have the 2 minutes from the last meeting, even though one did not have a quorum.
okay, so we have a quorum tonight, so we can.
We have a quorum tonight, so you can look at it, and I don't think, I did not get this to Mr. Eastridge.
Sorry, Tim. We don't have a copy for you.
I'll trust you.
So the one on the 6th was informational. And then the one on the 13th was our public, the only business there was the land use hearing.
That was a very brief hearing for.
Yeah, 22 minutes.
I can make a motion to accept the minutes. Need more time?
Which ones?
Can't we do both of them? Or should we
I
do
think
them?
you
Yes, you can.
Okay.
I will second the motion to accept the minutes as presented.
All in favor, say aye.
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 We have 4 ayes, 5 ayes. All right, Steve, we're gonna let you just jump right into it.
We shall do that. So I have been approached by the engineers for Brownstone Development in regard to a 23 unit subdivision between Oak and Mill Streets, and they're calling it the Mill Street subdivision. There you go. And I am in the process of pre-app with them, and they are going to be basically, I've given them all the information, site review plan, and they will be coming to you for the discussion. Part of that will be that this land is currently light industrial.
Mhm.
And they're proposing essentially GRB lots for the subdivision. They will connect that there is water to that would be adequate for this subdivision and sewer adequate for this subdivision.
Now, is there any discussion for some commercial space up front along?
Yes, there is, that they reserved per my discussion with them, they are reserving that front strip as commercial within the Riverside District.
Is this the kind of what you have? That's a
That
different.
just came off the press
Okay,
2 hours ago.
okay, but it is a project.
This is a project. So so what I will do is I'm gonna go right into the next one because this is now much more interesting. SGS Development, Kevin O'Meara's property, AKA the Brickyard. They are now wanting to jump back in. So I gave you a separate sheet with 122, 6,000 to 8,000 foot, 122 units for this subdivision. And what this is just absolutely preliminary. I've had a discussion about, what was needed. They worked this through with us a few years back. And we had a lot of discussion over the number of units, the fact at the time they were single property, it was one single property tax lot. Gonna put 122 units in there. And of course, immediately comes the concern is water and sewer. Whether we even have the capacity for that. And the answer is at this point, no, we don't. So they provided me this information. I guess this is kind of like the shot across the bow before the pre-app.
Right.
So we have not had a pre-app meeting. They would like to schedule one and talk this through. My concerns will be all the concerns that we have had and this commission has,
They've never gone away.
yeah,
They're all still there.
it's not changed.
So they're not proposing, you don't know for sure, but they're not proposing one tax lot. This is gonna be individual.
This is the same basic picture that they proposed about a year and a half ago when we first came to the commission with this. And at the time it was one tax lot. We basically, and then the economy was beginning to go a different direction and they were not able to, and they still have to deal with filling the pit. And our infrastructure. So there's all sorts of different things that they are now, will have to reconsider just as they had to consider it back when.
So this, I didn't mean to jump. This is different than 23 unit.
This is,
And I didn't mean
yeah.
to jump. If people had a question about the 23 unit.
Yeah, the
I was-
23 units,
That's-
we've discussed this a little bit about what it is, but it's now in the process of coming to us as a planning commission action. And then right on top of that, right behind it, right in the adjacent property
Right.
is this other one. So
I have a question. So the SGS one that we're looking at here is, what's the impact of our urban growth boundary initiative?
it won't have an impact on it. Because what we're gonna do is an expedited review. And we can add up to 50 acres without having to exchange land.
I see. So this would still stay within the city limits?
Right,
Okay,
still
so
within
the-
the city
The
limits.
preliminary stuff we talked about, I
Right.
thought was swapping that back into the county.
Right, there, and this is going, however, if you look at the comp plan and look at, for instance, the 23 unit subdivision, which is light industrial, this other land, which is predominantly light industrial, except for the GRB section, which is right in the middle of the old borrow pit. It does raise questions about how much light industrial land does the city still require? Our comp plan, our approved plan does have that. And so
Absolutely.
this 122 unit development would impact that. So I'm sure it would come under scrutiny from the DLCD in terms of, what are you guys going to do for that? Number one, they may allow us to expand our UGB as a result of that. Because of that, these would definitely, I'm putting, for everyone listening to me and not watching me, I'm putting quotation marks around affordable housing. But it does kind of check the boxes that the state of Oregon is looking at. For instance, the 23 unit subdivision still is in it's still in the GRB range. I mean, what they're proposing. But I don't know how affordable, what it sounds like affordable is still in the $300,000 to $400,000 range. It's just that they're now getting smaller to stay within that.
Do you have
those
an idea of the
constraints.
type of homes that they're planning on these lots?
Originally, it was manufactured homes.
Mhm.
Tiny homes.
And
Originally,
before
it was
then,
tiny
and
homes.
before then, it was
Yes.
that council was everyone was it looked like all ready to approve tiny homes, but then Mr. Menard, for his health,
Yeah.
went out, and Mr. Honbaum came in and said, before you guys could do anything, you really do need to update your plans. So the city stopped that and went to develop plans. The tiny homes never went away. It's just they were put on hold until the comp plan and these other plans got completed.
Just take a look at both of these, both the Mill Street unit and this are both light industrial at this point.
At
So
this
that-
point, except for a
Commercial.
14-acre section of what you would, is the old borrow pit. It's about 14 feet deep in the center compared to the surrounding ground. And that area was in 2016, I believe, or in that neighborhood, rezoned to GRB.
So the pit is GRB.
Yes, the pit is GRB.
How did that-
Everything around that is light industrial. And then we know that there's wetlands
Right.
towards the river.
Looking at this footprint, does that encompass the pit or is the pit?
Yes,
It
it
is.
does. So that
Yeah.
portion, if you're looking at the paper, the portion with it oriented that way, you're looking north is the top,
Okay,
okay, east is to your left. Excuse me, east is to your right, west is to your left. So the west portion of
Hit up
that,
here.
it's, no, it's
It's
right in
right
the middle of the
behind-
west portion.
So the little squares on the
Yeah.
far left,
Middle of it.
that's the
That
property
is the
line.
borrow pit.
Filling up the whole pit.
Yeah,
Wow.
At one time.
it's a lot of
just
material.
60, we figured to take 60 days, 4 trips a day, and one of those double trucked dump trailers full of dirt to fill that pit. All summer,
Just the trucking alone would be astronomical.
it would be. So
And
I,
then to
you
find the
know,
dirt.
Well, exactly.
And what's and is there a wetland impact in that particular area?
there'd be no wetlands in the borrow pit,
Okay.
that has been identified.
Okay.
The wetlands are to the east over by the river.
Yeah. Down.
And there's a riparian section that was set aside. You can see that up there. They have smaller lots with kind of that look like they're cut in half. That upper section is the
Upper
riparian,
left hand.
right? Riparian strip, very similar to what is over in Red Hills. We have a wetland strip. Some of that property is larger, but they can only walk in the back half. They can't develop it.
Interesting. Okay,
So I'm going to say to be determined.
it's
I have a
something.
question. Hello?
Go ahead,
Yeah, Tim.
My question is, so these tiny homes, that's on one tax lot?
We don't know at this point. Originally, it was going to be manufactured homes. Okay, so we're talking, I'm not gonna say trailers, manufactured homes, sitting on 6,000-foot lots, whereas the original tiny home was much smaller. Was a much smaller development, and from the looks of it, was actually centered more in that whole area. And it never went very far. I mean, it got to the point of getting ready to approve the actual land zoning for it, but it never went beyond that because Mr. Menard had to leave for health reasons, as you're aware. So at this point, it is 6,000 to 8,000 square foot lots, which puts it into the GRB, GRA with zoning that we currently have. So homes could be put in there, single residence homes, single family resident homes. The original concept that I heard a few years ago were manufactured homes, which would also fit in there. Or some combination of the two. And at this point, this is a preliminary, so I asked them to tell me what your concept is. And they just basically gave me what they gave me a few years ago. And we have yet to sit down in a pre-app to actually talk about,
Yeah, sounds like see how far it goes.
yeah. And why I will, of course, push back with the same things that we've talked about in the past, and they'll have to probably come to a different level of understanding, particularly filling in that borrow pit. Because that
I think
is huge.
with Menard's health issues, we didn't have an updated comprehensive plan. We didn't have a parks plan. We didn't have all kinds of plans we needed.
No, you didn't have any of the master plans, and Rick Honbaum is the one who shepherded, along with the rare students, shepherded, and you folks, all of you, shepherded in those plans. That was, I recall that was a huge amount of work. I was updating the websites as all this was going on, so I remember all the work that went into it by a huge amount of people.
Have you done a thumbnail estimate of sort of the STC investment that would
Well,
come out
take
of this?
122 and multiply it times 20,000.
Chunk change.
And the
Separate, right?
Pardon, I'm sorry, Commissioner?
Separate tax lots.
Yeah, if they were all individual tax lots. If they're one tax lot, then of course, we would have to come up with a different configuration, but I'm not for single tax lots. I
No,
mean,
'cause
that just does not benefit the city, nor would it even be close. I don't believe a sustainable concept right now with the number of homes they're trying to pack in there. I don't think
We've
it's
never-
sustainable for them either, for that matter.
Well, they're modeling a really big neighborhood, really here. I mean,
It's just not sustainable. And I don't think the fire department would think it was sustainable either. I mean, there's a lot of issues that would have to be worked through. And we're not of the size that can handle something of that nature. Our resources of the city are small. This might fly in a Harrisburg, maybe, maybe. Or larger, but not Monroe, not a 723 population with no. We do not have a police department. We do not have a fire department that's ours that we pay for. I don't know how you could sustain it. It's hard to sustain what we have. I mean, I can sustain another, like I said, about 52 more homes. After that, the city's going to have to really consider how they, what kind of population and what kind of resources to move the city forward.
And with the 23 at the Mill Street, if that moves forward, plus the ones we've already okayed, we must be getting close to. 50.
You're right around 50 to 54 homes. You're right in that time frame where at that point, we would have to stop and say, before we move forward with any more homes, we have to do something with our infrastructure. Because it's not sustainable. And what are we going to, more population, how long can Benton County? I mean, right now we have, it's anywhere from 5 minutes to 20 minutes, depending on where they're at.
Yeah.
Is that sustainable? And they only have 1 or 2 police, the deputies down in this area at any given time. So, and that's a big area that they have to cover. Fire district, the same thing.
Mhm.
They're wonderful and great, but you get in the middle of summer, they have a huge territory.
Yeah, it took them about 15 minutes to get to my house the other day.
The deputies, yeah. And I understand from the sheriff that they had to come from South Corvallis.
Yep.
The Brickyard does not have any commercial. It's just light industrial and GRB.
GRB, correct, sir.
So I'm trying to get a handle on kind of decisions we may have to face, but for both of these projects, if this one's off a ways, the Brickyard's off a ways, but there's a rezoning issue.
Mhm.
There's an assessment of what's good policy for light industrial
Correct.
versus residential. The question of water and sewer capacities, which we'd be hitting up against it pretty quick. And I guess there's a question of kind of city amenities when you see this kind of growth, parks and paths and those kind of things.
Correct.
That we have to assess.
All of those things.
Is there anything else the planning commission might have?
I think those are the big ones. I think number one is really, I think you look at it from the infrastructure, and what you want, because our comp plan and our Riverside district all talk about amenities and how that's supposed to be. And then we talk about, we move on beyond infrastructure. We talk about, is this good planning? I mean, are we looking at responsible growth? I mean, that's in your wheelhouse is the responsible growth of the city, because you've talked about this multiple times that, your job is planning. And that's what this is. Is this responsible taking light industrial and moving it into residential? It might be for this particular piece of land, particularly if they keep the front section commercial.
Yeah.
Well, and it also kind of ties into the Brickyard property because they're both light industrial. And so if we change the zoning on one, that would really may impact the other.
It might.
Depending on what one comes first.
What does that leave us for light industrial? Is there any other light industrial? Because that's commercial that we.
Right. So, and there's another one. So I've been approached now a couple different times. So I'm gonna start tying this all together because it looks to me as though I don't think you can look at, as we discuss this, it
Yeah.
all starts to look
Individual.
into one picture. So we've had interest now in the Wilbur property. And
oh, it's
so
interesting.
the first gentleman husband and wife who came to me, I think Commissioner Nielsen would love this. They build sculptures and would love to
Okay.
turn this into a cottage type industry where they have, kind of help shape, form, get people in to do things and all that. But he wants to put sculptures up and down the highway around and everything
Whoa.
else. So there you go. So even he says if it's a basalt rock, he'd love to make it So that was kind of cool. The second group, husband and wife, they're from Alpine, and they have the farmer's market up there. And they would like to expand into Wilbur Ellis and put basically a marketplace, like a
Did you
groceries.
say a farmer's market in Alpine?
Well, it's not, they call themselves farmers market. I think it's more along the line of they want to sell produce and
Huh.
that kind of like a kind of a alternative, kind of between like a small grocery store and a alternative co-op.
Hmm.
I think it's kind of the combination of the two. But they're looking at buying the entire property and then using Depot Street as a division between kind of keeping light industrial on one side. That would leave it open for warehousing and other things on that one side. And then the Wilbur Ellis, the fertilizer side for actual store, grocery store
Retail.
or co-op or
Yeah,
something.
commercial.
inside there, Commercial
So
activity.
they're looking at purchasing, not leasing.
Pardon?
Looking at purchasing.
Yes, they
probably
are.
not
They're
leasing.
looking at purchasing. And they were very interested and it appeared that there wasn't any real, they're looking at this moment of just basically doing a pro forma for their banks. And I think they are very interested in doing it. I mean, I just had one discussion with them on it, but it sounded to me as though they're moving ahead.
That's interesting.
Now, isn't that one section over there where a lot of the long timber parking is that already been sold?
Yes, Stephen Rose has that, and he has already approached me this last week. Stephen has the partition up
On
on
8th Street.
8th and Main Street. He owns that section that's currently, he's allowing the Niestrums to use it for parking. But he'd like to put a coffee shop / something. I'm encouraging ice cream. But he's going to put a sit-down coffee shop below and then ASTRs, short-term rentals or something above, or even allow the owners to live up
That's behind the
above.
Dollar General?
Yes, between, on the west side of Dollar General and right across the street from Long Timber.
Okay, okay. Because I thought you said 8th Street and I was trying to think.
He also owns, I'm sorry, I
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm
conflated.
sorry.
No, my fault. I conflated the
He
two.
came here to subdivide it that one. time.
Right, he subdivided that partition. So
Oh,
now he's
okay.
in the process of
Okay.
wanting to build his home on one. He's reserving the front piece and so.
That
So-
sounds like it's very much in line with sort of what I've been hearing from people in the community and what we've talked about in terms of
is.
developing that area with a kind of designing it for a commercial foot traffic,
Get some people off the road,
Yeah.
get some of that 8,000 ADT off the road and buying something on their way home, wherever direction they're going.
yeah.
It punches, it pushes a lot of nice buttons for us. I mean, all the things you said, Commissioner, are things that we've talked about either here or in town halls and that type
Yeah.
of thing.
So
Before I'm sorry to interrupt, but what I was thinking is that this is along these same lines of what we're discussing. It seems to me that this proposal by SGS is weighted maybe way too heavily on the residential side in terms of, I mean, if there was some way to create more of a mixture of types of uses in here and show more of a balance.
I
So
agree, plus more walking space. more
Yeah.
Green space. We have,
Yeah.
it's in our comp plan. And actually with this, even though it's not mandatory, I would suggest to them that they need to look at a master development plan. Now, this is something that I more recently discovered.
Mhm.
Pat Deppa back when said we should have one, and I thought I saw something, but since we've been going through all of our resolutions and ordinances and getting everything online and updated, staff have been showing me as we put them online, the different things. And yes, in fact, we did do a master plan development. What that does is basically the same code that we have in our land use code for subdivisions and that type of thing. But it allows all the different elements. For instance, it allows the developer and the commission to work together,
Mhm.
almost committee form, to
Mhm.
work through things. So you don't have to have variances, for instance. You can come
Mhm.
up with a master plan but it does require that 20% of your land is set aside for green space and
Mhm.
walkability
Mhm.
and that type of, which,
The spirit of this proposal looks like it's crammed full as much as you possibly
Maximizing.
can. Yeah.
I'm
They're
gonna,
being
I'm gonna,
efficient.
I'm gonna,
Yes.
I'm going to kind of reference it to kind of current events where you go to one extreme,
Mhm. Yeah.
hoping for a concession over here to meet somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of what we're looking at here is they're gonna throw this at us and then see what we come back at
Mhm.
to come somewhere in the middle.
Does ODOT have input on the increased impact
Yes,
on traffic? on
They sure
99?
do, and that would have to be, that we would have to require a traffic analysis.
Even for the
Absolutely.
23. you
Yeah,
know,
absolutely. No, probably so for the 23. I talked with them and they said maybe not, but I did throw at the same because I talked to them this afternoon.
Right.
I decided to wait. I had 3 different things and why not? Particularly if someone actually answers the phone and talks to you.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's amazing. But I did ask, and they said absolutely, if they're looking at 122 units, yes, that is actually something they would not only look into and do that, but they said right off the bat, because they are familiar with that, they just say no.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just not, it's too many homes, too much traffic for that particular area.
Mhm.
So question for you. So the 23 unit and then the Brickyard, have you thought about how the water and sewer main should be routed in that area?
Yes, so the sewer main, the primary sewer main would have to be upgraded to a 10-inch pipe from an 8-inch. That's from Civil West Engineering. We had them look at that back when this was first being done. The 8-inch, the 6-inch line is actually tapped off an 8-inch line by the school. And you see 2 hydrants along Oak Street. That would be fine for part of that, but we'd have to move across probably the First Street extension. So we would come down actually on 9th Street all the way down Fur and cut straight across Fur, and then that would jog up and that would provide the second main. So we would have to extend another 6-inch line. There had to be 2. And then those 2 would be connected in a grid pattern.
But Civil West would probably want to have to look at this. 120
Oh,
units
absolutely.
before
Or
keeping-
at this
before-
point,
But still recommending the 10 and the 6.
absolutely. At this point, as soon as we get beyond pre-app,
Yeah.
I will probably go out and get, do an RFP for a engineer of record.
Yeah.
It was Branch Engineering.
Yeah.
But I'll get Branch, Civil West, whoever else, K and D, whoever the engineering firms are, they give us a bid and they would become the engineer of record. And they would be the ones reviewing every single engineering plan that we have.
But that, what Fred brings up, I mean, I was kind of mulling it over too, and then, but again, it's kind of comes to the zoning. It's kind of similar, but who gets on the hook for SDCs and stuff like that? Because if the 23 unit comes ahead of time, that's going to really help out potentially O'Meara.
What we'd have to do is the 8-inch pipe will take care of the 23.
Mhm.
Interestingly enough, an 8-inch pipe can handle quite a bit,
Right, but another 100.
but not another 100.
Well, so that
So
don't
at
have to
that
build it
point-
twice.
Right, that's. where I
So,
was
so
going.
at that point, the other subdivision is going to have to pay for increasing the size of that pipe.
So best look ahead.
Yep.
Because that's what I was thinking is that nothing's worse than seeing a brand new subdivision going and then they're plowing the streets up again to do.
Well, what I would do for those folks is I'd say that you're gonna have to put in like a 10-inch pipe coming across your property.
There you go.
And then you can still tap in with 8-inch pipes as you so, as you so desire, to handle your subdivision per the engineer. The engineer would have a hold of this and they would say, no, you'll need at least a 10, if not a 12-inch.
Yeah.
Coming through just to make sure that everything is well handled. The second part is I don't see how you're going to put 122 units up there, particularly with our spacing and with we would want trails. We would want park. We would want a small park for these people up here.
Question, so does SGS, do they own this now? Is that what they,
They're working closely with Kevin O'Meara, who is the owner.
and so he's hoping to sell to them, assuming.
Yes, he is.
Okay,
And yes, he is, absolutely.
okay, so another question. So does this company, this development company also do commercial space development, like commercial lot development?
SGS does quite a bit of construction, both residential, commercial.
Okay.
They do a lot of land development. They're much like North Sandiam paving in that
So,
respect.
yeah, it occurs to me that, since I've been coming to these meetings, and there's always been kind of a cross your fingers and hope that, somebody shows some interest in this space.
Mhm.
Also, stimulating commercial and potentially light industrial sort of development. Is it something where you just propose, take a quarter of this and make this into a commercial lot facing the Loving Field and say, that's going to be stores or whatever, if you stipulate that those lots are going to be reserved for that, then they can then develop them to
What you
increase
do-
interest by other companies to come in
And
here.
that's why we have so many of these discussions, is so I can listen to you
Yeah.
and say
And convey
during
that.
the pre-app meeting, okay, this is fascinating.
Mhm.
The city certainly would like managed growth. But we also want our green space. We also want paths and trails. We want parks.
We want a small
And
supermarket.
we also need to understand you're taking up our light industrial space.
Mhm.
And we have some commercial down here. How would you propose to integrate some
Mhm.
commercial space, maybe
Right.
some cottage space for cottage industry, mixed use?
Even
What would
just
your
retail,
proposal
yeah.
be to
Right.
put that in?
Right.
Then they would come after pre-app, come to you with this bigger vision now.
Integrating something
And
like
then
that.
you folks would say, huh, okay, 1 acre is not enough, or I would like to see more. It
Okay.
really is a give and take at
Okay.
that point with you as to, and then the citizens will get involved
Right.
and those chairs will be filled.
Yeah. All right.
I think
Makes
we have
sense.
some citizens next door to this that already have.
I would have to say that there's going to be, there will be some action. So please enjoy the peace and quiet. I think over the next 5 or 6 months, there's going to be quite a bit of activity coming your way.
Yeah, and my another thought too I'm having is we don't want to be the roadblock either. So we want to help facilitate, but we also don't want to lose our shorts. So
Yeah.
if we can see a way where we can be proactive into, okay, we know for sure this is coming. We got the SDC fees from here. Maybe we get the credit from, give them the credit, the 23, the credit, so we can upgrade the
Right,
sewer line 10-inch
Yeah.
all the way back. So now we've got that section taken care of.
right.
Or the water line, or we're gonna add, take this
Cooperate with it.
2023 and maybe that's the upgrade to the water plant or something.
Right, yeah, because the water plant will definitely need to have more than what.
You said the sewer would be okay, but the
I
water
think,
plant.
the sewer is fine up to 1,200. We can aerate it and get up to 1,200 residents in here without an issue. We've been looking at, I've asked Mark and Chuck Schultz to be looking at that. They're talking with OAW, the Oregon Association of Water Utilities. And 1,200 is, 12 to 1,400 is what the design capacity would be. It would be our water plant that we would need to make sure we expanded, not because we'd be having to run it more. I mean, it would be going from 8 hours a day, but probably, double that, 16 hours a day. So you'd be running 2 shifts, 2 full shifts of the water plant.
We're at that weird spot where, we need the growth if we want to, for manpower and for more people and salaries. Because we're at that point where we're really taxing everybody.
We're at that
We
point
need,
where
we
we
need some
cannot,
more
right,
revenue to take some pressure off, but we're at that really weird teeter totter spot.
it is, you're exactly right. You're exactly right. And that's what I'm struggling with right now is how do you make that work?
Yeah.
We have mechanisms right now where we make it work, but it's only because I'm taking advantage of unique capacities of individuals. i.e. I can run the water plant. So I can pull my part of my salary from buckets for that. That's not necessarily the case with someone else. So how do you get to that point? To your point, how do you get to a situation where you can bring these folks in to maintain this huge amount of infrastructure that is being asked for?
There's a certification requirements to run, unless we run off other people's certifications like we've been doing. You know, there's a certain salary level that typically comes with that.
Yes, there is.
certification,
And
and
we're gonna have to
we're
run,
not there.
we have to run 2 shifts. So you're gonna have backups for those shifts.
Yeah,
It
so
isn't
we're-
just have person. It's having healthy people who are available during that shift to do it. Otherwise, you're not gonna make enough water.
Yeah, we're talking a couple $100,000 a year in budget. like,
Yeah,
increased budget for
more
salaries.
than what, yes,
And
yes.
so we're not even, that's where we're at, really. As a commission, we need to think about that piece too, because are we trying to tap the brakes and put so many restrictions that we, you know,
No,
we all gotta stick with our plans, obviously, but we also have to think about the big picture for the city. What are do we want to have constant turnover in
Yeah.
the water plant while we look for people and, you know?
well, it's definitely, your point is well taken, that we need to be proactive about raising our hands to have people do the advanced planning
Yeah.
and foresee the types of, so that they're not blindsided by this.
Yeah,
What,
the city, with the amount of development that's before me right now,
Mm.
the last, we definitely are at a point where engineers need to be looking at this, that have done this level of expansion and then guide the city towards what's reasonable, meaning what's the cost of it and can you afford it?
Can I raise my hand a little bit? Something that we have discussed in prior meetings, especially with Mr. Khan as well, that there's the need for better pedestrian access to this neighborhood. And the idea of a whole lot more folks coming in, it sounds like the Brownstone, this Mill Street subdivision is probably something we can kind of be counting on. So I would say that we should, I think it's on the city's doorstep to really, take the kind of proactive steps of pushing forward the initiative of more formal pedestrian access and trail through there, whatever the solution is, like you suggested, going up that old road or whatever,
So,
but
yeah, that
there's
was one, and the
signage,
other
there's
part-
improvement of paths, there's all of that stuff, but we should kind of be doing that.
So the third piece that I was talking to ODOT today about was the sidewalk.
Mhm.
And I said, at this point, it looks as though, we're gonna have this development at least between Mill and Oak, and we need a sidewalk down Highway 99. I know you guys think it's too expensive, but at this point, I don't see an option for it. So let's start working on, that would be in addition to other walkway paths, like say down Third Street into the
Right.
First Street extension down
Right,
to the
right.
high school. That would certainly be with any of these subdivisions that had children in it, that would be a primary.
There might be another
Pathway.
light down there too, by the way.
What's that?
Might eventually another street light over there.
Yeah.
Yes, and yeah, more amenities, more safety,
Yeah.
with a crossing that slough would also have to be an ADA compliant
Mhm.
path.
Yeah, but wouldn't that, I mean, obviously you got to figure out what ODOT was willing to do, push them to do something along Highway 99, but coming down Third Street to the school property there, that's all private property. So how do you,
The First Street, okay, so
how does that street go?
no, it does. First
Oh,
Street
it
goes
does,
almost,
okay.
it goes actually into Cantor's property a little bit. Our easement
Okay.
does. So we have, that First Street could extend as a full width street all the way,
There you go.
all the way down, just past the sign, the scoreboard.
So we don't have to worry about private easement and right away.
So it's our easement, so we can certainly do that. I don't know. It would probably be built as an emergency access plus a pathway for
Yeah.
people to walk
Pedestrians.
safely from, particularly if you have those subdivisions, that would be the pathway. And then going down to whatever commercial amenities we might have, and then down the highway safely, that direction. And perhaps even a crossing if we particularly wish to develop
It would
That
make
was-
sense to that other,
to the
to
north
the
gate,
train tracks.
to our north gate property there. If we
Yep.
start looking at for parks and things, that would be another park, but you would want
I
rapid flashing lights there.
Yeah, I just think about the speed of progress and speed of getting these projects kind of, I don't know, the steps that we might need to take to initiate that initiative more formally, but it seems like it makes sense to me that we should, if we have to vote, or do we have to make a motion, or we have to actually do something more forthright and proactive, we should
Well,
probably do it.
Once the federal government gets off whatever they're doing, gets off the dime on their grants, we have several grants held right now because of that have federal money attached to them. I'm sure that will pass. But we'll be doing the small city allotment for the path, for the road and pathway. I mean, that's a safety issue. And that's basically Third Street and First Street.
Yeah.
The second part is with these developments, there will be ODOT is now has us on the radar. There'll be sidewalk improvements plus probably a rapid flashing. They'll be putting a crossing
Okay.
in somewhere up in that area.
All right.
So that's on their radar now. That will be done with the traffic assessment. That's what I was told. So when they do the traffic assessment, they'll be looking at pedestrians. and-
Cars come in fast right there.
Yeah, so as soon as we get commitments to some of these things, and this 23 unit is enough, I think, to trigger.
Mhm.
Does the
Those
23
improvements.
unit require sidewalks on 99, or would that be the development of the commercial zone that kick in the sidewalks? Or
That's what ODOT's looking at right now. In a conversation, I explained the whole thing and Commissioner, they asked exactly the same question. So they were thinking, we're talking, this was the talk out loud and informal, hey, this is going on. Let's start thinking about it, discussion.
And to go back to this question about being proactive too, I think luckily we do have a master plan now. We do have park plan. It's more of, just looking at this Brickyard thing, it doesn't seem to take into account the work we've already done.
It
And
doesn't.
it almost like take this and go back and read the comp plan and make sure it matches
think-
that saves us,
Yeah.
the requirement of like
Well,
nitpicking and say it doesn't reflect the master plan.
Well,
it
when
doesn't
they do
reflect
the pre-app, that's what they'll be told.
Well, that's
Yeah, I wouldn't.
to his point.
Yeah.
They shot for the moon.
Right.
They've read our comp plan. They've read our Riverside
Now
district
we-
overlay. They just threw this out there to see, let's see if we can get 122 units by them without any other.
We just have to tell them, read the comp plan.
And
Let's
it-
reflect
It'll
the
get
comp
wiggled,
plan.
it'll get wiggled down to 80 and.
Or they could just tell Kevin, the landowner, that, they didn't buy it. We're sorry, we can't do much with it. So there might be some other pressure
Yeah.
that we're being
Part of
used
their-
to apply to
Their
the owner to maybe
negotiations.
negotiate a different price
Uh-huh.
or something else. So those are things that happen behind the scenes.
Yeah.
But certainly from, my answer will not be any different than it was last time. Yeah, what to your points, read the comp plan. This is what we're after.
Who was it that bought the Loving?
This was a brownstone development
Oh, okay.
It
and.
actually sold, is it sold?
Pardon?
Has it sold?
Sold?
It's in the process. It's right now in the escrow stages.
Maybe give Kevin O'Meara their phone number, then.
Let them, I like Randy Myers a great deal. He and his crew are really good at figuring things out.
Well, maybe it would be a better fit for all of that to
It
be
might be, and I don't
connected.
know if SGS is I don't know what deal has been made
Uh-huh.
between SGS and the owner. So maybe, again, often these things work at multiple levels.
Yes.
And we're just a
Mhm.
tooth in the cog and the
Yep.
spur of the bigger picture.
Has the water treatment plant grant been frozen as well? Is-
Yes, at the moment it has been, but was mostly lottery funds. But it's not that we can't move ahead with it. I'm actually moving ahead now with putting mixer up in the plant, up in the tank. That's going to be extremely helpful.
So that was an Oregon grant or
It was an Oregon grant, but it had a federal piece to it.
okay.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's not going to stop us from doing what we're doing. If anything, it'll just extend it a little bit. However, that may be good because at this point, if we're looking at growth, just making the water better quality is one issue. Capacity is something else. So what's the better use of your money
Right.
in this particular instance?
That grant was going to do quality and capacity, wasn't it?
No, just quality,
Just quality.
just quality. Same capacity,
Right.
more quality. So at the moment, what you'd want to do is increase your capacity, increase your ability to run the plant more than 8 hours a day, 5 days a
So
week.
capacity is
Is that,
runtime.
is that just
Runtime,
labor?
not-
Yeah, we're talking about runtime, not pulling from the river, because we're limited to 350 gallons a minute on the river.
But it sounds like the limitation is labor for the city.
Labor and the number of units. We can't run just, we would need at least 3 units in there or something similar to run at the number of hours we would need to run, because I can't run 20, I'm limited to 350 gallons a minute. So that's a lot of water. I mean, we're only using 20% of that right now. Okay.
Uh-huh.
It just means that my runtime is longer. So
So
there's wear and tear on the equipment.
I was just gonna bring up, how does this impact the wear and tear and maintenance levels going, let's say the next 5 years, 10 years?
So what you have to do is, number one, start to ensure, number one, that you can, you're setting your money aside as we are now to keep
Right.
maintaining it. Okay, so that's number one. The second part is that we need to, one of the biggest issues in there is the fact that our electronics are too old. So replace those. And the third one is we need a third unit,
Unit meaning,
another skid, another
Okay.
filtration system.
okay,
Okay, in there. That
that's
can-
gonna up the capacity.
that would give us the runtime capacity so that we can alternate. So now you can run 2 cells simultaneously
Okay.
and then alternate a cell out for maintenance.
Okay.
So that's what you're
Got it.
doing, is you're giving yourself more maintenance capacity. Because you need
Kind of
that.
a chicken and egg thing. You know, like Fred alluded to, you know, it's got the maintenance, the city personnel. You need more revenue and tax base. We need more development, yet,
We're in that weird
yeah.
size right
So
now.
right now I have 2 staff. My one staff person that came on board, Chuck Cross, is now up on the board. So he's able to operate the plant
Yeah.
independently under supervision, but he doesn't need to have a second person in the plant with him.
Right.
Which is really cool. That's the first time we've had that.
Certifications and-
Yeah, so now I can rotate him, but now we need a third person and probably a superintendent as well. So, you know, some of our costs are going up, right? Chuck Schultz said that we would need 3 people in here originally. We are using Harrisburg as a DRC. I know that they're counting on us to remedy that. So
Yeah, it's not
it's,
perpetual, right?
we would love it to be in perpetuity, but
Yeah.
it's not, they have made it very clear to me that they would like us to move in that direction. So
And this,
again,
this
it's-
all ties into this.
sure does, every bit of it.
So just, I'm trying to, the water quality is funded from that,
Mm-hmm.
the grants we have. Water capacity is not funded, which means it would have to come from either another grant or development fees.
Correct.
Or increased water or something. That
It would
we'd have to
probably be
find
from
that.
SDC fees is how we would fund
And does
part of that.
storage factor into that as well? Do we have enough storage?
We have enough storage. Matter of fact, with a 1 million gallon tank and the number of people that might be proposed, that would actually be there just exactly the right amount of turns in
And it
that
would
tank
move water
to
through the
improve
tank.
water quality.
Yeah.
So we're putting things in the tank right now to improve water quality. More turns,
Right.
more use
Less-
actually
makes
creates
sense.
less disinfectant
So the-
byproducts and improves your quality.
So the capacity is 2 prongs though.
Right.
SDC fees are only gonna take care of the third unit.
Yep.
They're not gonna take care of the added personnel.
Long-term cost.
So hopefully, yeah, and in that case, that is,
That's the chicken and egg you're talking about. Because I was gonna say it, the chicken and egg, it doesn't factor out because of the other way, because you are getting the fees and then you can be upgrading before the houses come in. So in essence, that sequence is fine. It's just the labor that you're talking.
right,
about.
now I need to hire a third person
Right.
in order to make sure I have enough rotational capacity. And that third person has to be paid for through
Right.
the additional individuals paying into the water bill. And hopefully you can do that
There might
without,
be a way to do
The
that.
water bill's the key.
we I've been running those numbers this last week, actually, and for
There should be a lot of fees coming in from the surge development.
Well, there is, and so as a result, I have no issue with really, I think
Cash flow?
we're getting the equipment in,
Yeah.
but SDCs can't be used to fund staff. So those have to come from our rates. So the trick is, that's the reason why there was that 52 unit. It was so with two people and just paying for those with our current rates, which is what we're doing. How long can you run your plant? How many homes could you service? Well, it's about 52 plus or minus. So if you get to 122 more beyond that, or 150 more, or 200 more homes, at this point, you are definitely looking at a third person on shift and probably a supervisor at that point, a superintendent.
And just can the water quality investment made keep up with the water quantity?
It would have to also be increased. Yes, no. To
Cost,
answer your
there's
question,
cost.
the water quality, what we originally thought of a year ago, with all of this, we will have to rethink it because City of Monroe can't, you're going to have to grow. The question is, you can't do it overnight.
Right.
So again, how do you manage that in a responsible way?
And
But at
then-
the same time, if you do have the ability to think about it ahead of time,
Yeah.
now's the time to think about it and put those SDCs and those fees and
Try
what
to
you
make a
have in
plan.
place to make that work.
Here's where the trigger points are.
Right. And so we're at that trigger point. We're definitely at a trigger point right now.
Is it to the point though, how hard do you have to think, and does the city have to think about some of this development of like, oh, wait, slow down a little bit? I mean,
Yeah, like a moratorium type of thing.
yeah, I mean, how near are you, like if you do
It seems
surge,
like it's already doing
They're
it.
there.
though. It's staging itself out.
I would say at this point with the development across the street with the 23 unit Oak Street
Mhm.
development with Surge's 26 units here, that's 49. We're at 54 with Brian Oaks.
Mhm.
Okay, 55 with Mr. Rose's development. And 56 with the one that's over there at the old Picarella
so
property.
you have no qualms about letting all that just,
So
Let's go.
56, I'm fine.
Okay.
At 56, I'm okay. I'm okay where we're at. If you're asking me about the property east of Red Hills, if you're asking me about this 122 unit development, at that point, we have to stop and improve our infrastructure.
I think you're already at that point. Yeah, I think what you just illustrated is that you're already at the point to trigger it. So
Right, we're at a
What
point
needs to
where it
take
has
place
to
to
be, it has
trigger
to
it?
be, yeah, at this point, it has to be
push it
thought
up to the
about
red
it.
line and hold there.
Well, we would have to, any new infrastructure is going to have to improve our water system.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where it's at. If they won't do it or can't do it, then we can't do the project because we don't have any ability to manage it.
But the beauty of it is that you just outlined a number of those new residences, but those are all going to be trickling in. They're going to grow over, I don't know what the,
3 years, like Red Hills
Yeah.
took 3 years for it to finally get
so
built.
this is the time to initiate the upgrade so that by the time you're at the end,
Absolutely,
you're already turning the key on the next.
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's not insurmountable. It's just simply don't say yes,
Till then.
don't say yes to 500 developments when you can't do it.
Mhm.
Say yes to that point. When it gets to the trigger, you have to say, folks, we're at a point where you're going to have to help us with your SDCs or whatever.
Yeah.
Get that third unit into the water plant because that's all we have. And then make sure that when we do that, to everyone else's point that we're talking, that we make sure that we're thinking about the next
Staffing.
growth, the next level, the next growth level, the next trigger.
Yes.
So that we're not sitting back again saying, oh, we're at ground zero, what do we do? This is all plannable, and a lot of people have given thought to this and actually put it into writing. But now it's just been sitting because, up to this point, no one has really
Right.
done anything with it. But now that the economy, we have we'll see what happens. But now that things are changing, and this also goes to the point of the property west of Red Hills as well, where you want to put in more homes. They certainly have the infrastructure there, but at the same time, we want to make sure that we have the capacity at the water plant to do so.
What's the rough cost of a new?
A new unit, if I were to put a new unit, we got a bid in a year ago for about $415,000. Another $100,000 to upgrade all the electronics from a company that takes the older units that we have. We've already been taking and redo them into the new non-XP world.
I was gonna say, is it Windows 95 or whatever?
We have this unit was built by Siemens. So if we were in Europe,
German engineers.
it's really well built. Unfortunately, there's only relatively a handful of people in this country that work on Siemens. Most work on Rockwell. So we would update it to a Rockwell Ethernet system. And this company has learned how to take the programming and reprogram it. We've taken one cell already, completely refurbished it. Work with Mark and Chuck's really good. So we've been able to take and do things that we just haven't been able to do before. So the second cell is now being updated. So we'll have all the mechanical pieces. We know how to go through all that. It's now just getting the electronics redone and a third cell in there. And we know that water plant, based on Civil West Engineering, can hold a third cell. The new cells are a little different. They're pressurized, but they would run off the same electronics.
Would it be nice just to get that third cell in there earlier so that you'd actually increase the longevity of all of them because you put less pressure on them?
And we do, and I'm also thinking at this point that we put a new building next to the one we have. So we actually have a second building with the new units in it, and that would actually hold to another cell. So you have 4 cells running it simultaneously, or the ability to run a standard conventional filter. But conventional filters, unfortunately, take up more staff time. And so if you're looking at this weird, as you pointed out, I mean, we're at this weird tipping point of not being able to do anything, but we need to. These particular units, if they're maintained, actually need less staff time to operate. It's just that you need to have folks know how to operate them and actually fix them. And at the moment, I've been able to get 2 people understanding how those things work. And that's the first time ever we've had that. So this is really good news for us, because that means we have trainers to train the trainers, the trainer to train the trainers who can train the staff going forward with it. So I'm feeling very good about that. We just need more equipment now.
So if we got a rough idea of 500,000 for increased capacity for added growth past what we already have, okay, moved forward, a couple $100,000 for labor to meet, if we get to that next level. What about, do you have any sense of the additional investments in quality, water quality that have to make in order to meet the new capacity?
Well, you're probably looking at another $500,000 for that piece as well. I mean, at this point, you're probably looking at somewhere between 1.8 and to $5.5 million if you were to expand the water plant to the point where we would handle all this, what's on the books right now, growth, and what is being projected, what people are coming to us and saying, we'd like to take this land and do this.
So if it's going to take it'll take 3 to 5 years to raise that kind of money.
Oh, absolutely.
And if we're already at capacity with the 52, 56 units, there's really, I don't see how the city can take any more development ideas on until we have a plan for raising the money. And
I think with what we currently have, we have enough to get the third unit in place. Okay.
We have banked STC.
Yeah, we have enough, and also to deal with the water quality from that, and with the extra capacity, be able to have more turns in the water tank to deal with the fact that what we're putting up there now will take care of the TTHMs, the trihalomethanes, the HA5, the haloacetic acid group, where we call HAA5s, are from sitting water. So by getting more people in town and running these different loops, we're gonna get a lot of water that is currently sitting in the pipes for long, because we only have 1 or 2 houses connected to them comparatively. You'll get more water running through town, which will reduce that. Our issue really is not as much what we're pulling from the Long Tom River as much as it is we have this big tank and we fill it. We don't run it 24/7. We run it and we stop on the weekend. So we have to build up a lot of water to sit over the weekend. And it's really is an operational issue. And the operational issue comes because up to this point, we've only had 1 staff person,
Yeah.
Essentially myself or Mark running it. So now that we have more people and going forward, you can afford to run the plant more, which really means you run it less, but more often, if that makes sense. So you keep the turns and the amount of water in the tank.
Yeah, remember this 55 homes is $1.1 million too.
Right.
SDC fees. So there is,
Well, I mean,
And that's the only thing we can use it for is upgrading our system for capacity purposes.
we've already got 2.something million sitting in the coffers.
Oh,
for
yes.
SDC
that's
fees.
been in there a while. So at what point is the water plant, somebody going to say, all right, let's do this to the water plant? I mean, it seems like we've been talking about this.
We're doing it now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's being as we speak.
Oh, we're looking at the 3rd unit then.
Oh, yeah, everything. Upgrade electronics, all the
Okay.
parts and pieces are being taken out that have been 15 years old and replaced with brand new units, brand new valves. The electronics we're working on next, and then this 3rd unit. And then the TTHM is going where that is in process. That's to be going in the next month or so.
So the plan for growth is incremental investments over the next 3 to 5 years in order to allow additional development to happen over the 52 homes already.
Correct.
And
That appear to be getting close to being
Right.
actually
And there's a
permitted.
plan for that incremental investment into the water plant. in order
Yes.
To allow additional growth if additional requests
Right.
come our way.
So SDCs are for parks and streets too. So that does give us some more capacity, particularly for our downtown core areas. To make all that work as long as improving our parks.
Awesome. All right, exciting stuff.
Exciting things.
Question.
You got
Can
something,
you hear
Tim?
me?
Yeah, go ahead.
So what is it, June 30th, that the library is completely off the books for the Monroe City?
That is correct. And their board has, the SBCEA board has agreed that they wanted to take the library quitclaim deed sooner than later. So they will be taking that on. We have agreed with them to provide basic janitorial services as we have been providing it through June 30th. Pay the electricity through June 30th. After that, it transfers completely and totally to the SBCEA.
How about insurance? Did they?
They covered insurance on their own. They
Yeah.
only had one carrier work with them because of the liability of children activities. Interestingly enough, and not because of the kids, but because of
So
liability
the
for the
land and all
adults.
that, all is no longer in the city's hands.
We're preparing the quitclaim deed now. The quitclaim deed before, although the property, as you recall, might have been in the city's name, it was completely restricted by the codicils associated with it. So, but now it'll all be kind of back under one roof.
Good.
So hopefully they can make that work with and price some money out of the city of Corvallis.
So that money will help probably fund a half a person.
Actually, the money is being used. We have to move City Hall to a new structure. And so the library funds will move to City Hall funds.
Okay.
That's not one thing.
So
I know.
there was talks about parks in all these developments. Now, what is it? At what size do you require a park to be made? Or is there a requirement? Like 23 homes, you get a park?
Sitting on his-
No, there,
112 homes, you get a park.
there is a formula that is the state of Oregon and I guess uses. It's not hard and fast, but it has recommendations, and the recommendations are based upon utilizing your SDC fees and state grants and federal grants to improve your parks. So in other words, if you can show that you have more people and not enough, if you have X amount of people and not enough space, then that qualifies you to get state and federal monies for your parks. In addition to basically not approving, but giving credence to using SDC's fees for increasing park capacity. So it's not like there's a mandate to have park space. It's really more of a authorization to get grants and other things to either improve parks or
guideline.
develop new parks from city lands.
So can we get them talked into maybe getting us a swing in some existing park we have? Or a play structure? Or a
Certainly.
skateboard?
Certainly in the SDC credits, if you cannot find a way for that subdivision, I'm thinking, for instance, the subdivision that the 23 unit on Oak Street, where they don't have a lot of free, there's not a lot of additional land. You could
But they
say, well,
Reserve a little bit for the wetlands.
you can
and
reserve, or you can say,
Use the wetland area for a little.
could you, instead of your paying your parks SDC fees,
Right.
to
Build a
do
park.
something here on your land, could you help us across the street or somewhere else to put something else in? So yes, the SDC fees can be used in a number. You can negotiate SDC fees in a number of ways. As Chair Cuthbertson mentioned, you can give them as a credit. Sometimes that's a good idea, because sometimes if they're a big outfit,
They can do the work a lot.
they
better.
could do, you can give them the full credit, but they can do the work cheaper. So it's in their benefit to do so.
I get more bang for your buck,
And you may get back more because they might do more for you.
because it's cost them less.
It
They don't
does.
have to pay prevailing wage and all that stuff, so they can offset their costs versus what the city would have to pay.
Exactly. And that's fully supported by Oregon statute.
Well, we need to steer that direction because our parks really have nothing to them for kids to play on.
And
Particularly for the older kids.
I think based upon that last parks meeting that I went to last year, that as soon as we can start that ball rolling again, it seems very likely that we would be able to upgrade parks that we have.
I would
As
seem so.
soon
It's
as
not
we
that we don't
formulate a
have,
vision, we have to have
Right.
a vision for it.
it's the vision for it. It's really sitting down again with that Parks Master Plan.
And just
and finishing it up.
crystallizing it. Yeah,
Right.
I think it can be done pretty easily. I think it's a short putt.
You could probably get some private partners too, if you come up with to help out with some of the stuff,
I think so. I think there are people that are willing to, you're right. You're right. There are folks that have come to me wanting to talk about parks and what we have.
Yeah, somebody to donate a Frisbee golf course on the other side.
Yeah.
I
Couldn't
know
accept it.
someone who's actually,
Yeah. They had $18,000 wanted to spend on a golf course out there, Frisbee.
Has there been any movement with the pedestrian bridge, by the way? I didn't know.
That's in, so we're waiting. What we won't know until October, November.
Oh, okay.
There is a second grant or final grant to apply yet?
Yes.
That's.
Yeah, we won't know until later this year at this point.
Okay.
Didn't
that have to go in January?
Yes,
Oh, did
yeah,
we get it in?
yes.
Oh, okay, good,
So
good.
So we've kind of exhausted everything. We know about Wilbur Ellis. We know about the Kelly Street.
and we talked about it all together. I like that.
It all ties together.
This really is a big picture. This
Yeah.
really is a big picture item.
We've got the expedited UGB.
Yeah, I
thing
talked
in
with Benton County. I
process.
was with Benton County this morning on that. That was a meeting. I was hurried from there and came down to talk to the folks that want to buy Wilbur Ellis. So,
Is there something else going on next to silos? Was there another?
yes, that's the tumbleweed.
Tumbleweed.
That's
No,
a,
not that, but where that, between them and the bank, was there some other development gonna be going in there?
Not that I'm aware of. That's Gerard's property,
Okay.
Oh, behind, yeah.
Yeah.
Back to the rivers,
right
Gerard.
back to the river. I know,
That also could be a really great, especially if and when another park could go in next to that pedestrian
Yeah.
bridge, that would start to really look like a very nice piece for mixed use, perhaps even.
yes, it would.
Some
So
retail.
where the bridge goes is where the pump station is, but there is, what street is that that runs down there? So
Pike
that's-
Street's the one that comes directly off of Highway 99 and then in front of the lift station turns into Corvallis Street. So Corvallis Street runs north-south.
Goes behind the
Pike
bank.
Street runs about a block.
So
east,
Denard's
west.
property is
All these
next to
street
that.
names.
Yes,
You
it
probably know
does.
them
We,
by
we,
heart.
the city.
You
the
should
city
too.
Vacated.
He doesn't- he doesn't-
property for Corvallis Street.
You know,
Consolidate
you have cable.
Yeah,
everywhere.
They're two, that part's of the property.
But we still have a right of way street down to where,
Yeah, up to that point. So we actually, it goes behind the bank. So Corvallis Street at this point runs in front of the lift station and across the front of the Niestrom's property up next to the river,
okay,
up to the fence that's
Right.
right behind.
Yeah,
the-
that fence is
the,
pretty much property line, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the best now.
For
The property
Gerard's.
line, correct.
but that where the pump, that's on the river, that piece of property, is city property on the river.
Yes, it is.
Okay. So just had to make sure.
Well, this is all exciting stuff.
It is. I mean, I think there's gonna be a lot coming before you in the next 6 months.
Right.
Bring it on.
So
Fun and excitement.
we'll probably just, there's probably enough old business and new business coming that we really don't need to set an agenda. You're probably gonna have enough.
Things
talk
that are
about.
becoming, yes, there, the next time I will be talking to you about the 23 unit development more in detail because they're gonna be sitting down with me. SGS is gonna be sitting down with me. More to come for the Wilbur Ellis property, it looks
Yeah.
like. And updates on Kelly Street and Surges that I just saw a DEQ thing in today, so I need to look at that.
And
So
Oaks-
yes,
and Oaks-
there's
And Oaks,
a lot coming before you that's going to be.
Things are percolating.
You know, one thing that isn't been discussed or been on your radar per se, but we have talked about speaking of right of way, but alongside the train tracks, that kind of feeder that goes into potentially behind Sheila's and theirs house, beside the railway, I walk over there all the time and I noticed that, like, for instance, I forget Irma, her house, the duck lady
Oh,
house.
Verna on that other side there,
Oh,
right?
Yeah, and basically they kind of ate up and they took over all of that right away, all the way up to the,
That's Sixth Street, yeah, that is actually, from
Street.
that point is Sixth Street, and I think there's a discussion that needs to be had about turning Sixth Street back into Sixth Street.
I think so, because I think I saw this for sale sign got kicked over or taken out for that house there. That's right beside the library. And I don't know, there's that other house where their backyard is basically city property, and clearly these people, the Irma and those people, they thought that all of that was their property too. So it seems like before the next people move in, it'd be kind of nice to, like, move the fence back over and say,
Established ownership.
and say, remember, this is where we might be driving a fire truck to help,
Yeah.
Put
put
your
out
house out.
yeah.
Well, that'll have to be, yeah, that's been before council,
Uh-huh.
and so
Okay.
that's something that.
To reinforce some of those right
Yeah,
of ways.
to kind of get our, it's an easement, it is a street. And I think when we get Oaks property in place, that needs to be a street again,
I think
to
so.
connect to Pine so that we have fire access back there.
And the old rail bed and trail improvement, is that on hold?
It's on hold, but I think the city is going to use some of its street SDCs and maybe part of another small to actually put 1/4-inch gravel on there and pack it down like we did in Red Hills, which made a really nice ADA quality path. And we'll start there.
And that would run right from, I can't keep the street, but right from
Cemetery, the initial point will be cemetery all the way down to
where it
Kelly.
connects. Okay. Kelly, is that the library or?
Kelly is the next street down from the
Yeah.
library.
Okay,
And we're also going to have Mr. Rose and some of that development there to help with that extension
Okay.
in that area. And also, we're going to be looking at Sixth Street along with that and cleaning that so it doesn't have that area out. And PP&L said that they will help us with putting streetlights in there regardless.
Okay.
Nice.
So. And nice thing about path gravel in that sense is that the city can maintain it
Mhm.
easier and cheaper than they can with asphalt. That's one of the other problems when you get grants is the
Yeah.
money is there, but you have to maintain it afterwards.
And gravel's easy. You just add a little rock here and there and drag it with the tractor.
That's right. And,
Oh, good.
you could even stabilize it very cheaply with with gravel stabilizer for that.
Yeah.
I mean, you can do a lot of things very inexpensively and budget for it.
Yeah.
Whereas asphalt, what we'll do is we'll let it go for 20 years and it'll fall apart and we're responsible for it
Yeah.
at our cost.
Good. Good discussion.
All right. Are we good?
All right.
We're good. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you. Good night, all.